Hello and welcome to episode 45 of the Dash Force Free Amigos podcast. I'm Mark Mason and I'm joined by my two partners in crime. Brian, how are you doing today?
Excellent, excellent.
And Joel, how are you?
I'm getting caffeinated.
Fantastic. Or should I say Dash-tastic. And
Yes.
Our special guest for this episode is Robert, who is a project manager for the Dash Core team. How's it going, Robert? You doing well?
Doing very well. Thank you very much. Buenos dias.
Buenos
dias, amigos. Right?
Now, first off, I think we all have to address the elephant in the room, and it's the Dash price this week. The Dash, last time I saw it, looked at about $300. So, Robert, as you're the guest of honor, is this the end of Dash? Is it doom and gloom? Is your job in danger? What's going on with Dash? How do you feel?
Yeah. Dash is in danger. I believe that it's part of the typical movement on the market. I have to admit that I don't trade. I don't follow the prices too much. Of course, I need to be interested in the price from time to time, but it's not my major concern. My major concern is to deliver this with right quality, to put improvements in what we are doing. So I'm not too much worried about the price because I think this is the part of larger market and we can see this downtrend everywhere. But I'm also pretty sure that, when the right time is coming, the market overall is moving up and we are in a phase when we are going to deliver a fantastic product. So for all of the people that are concerned with the price, this will be probably a great news, right?
Yeah, I think every time the price comes down, I mean, I'm happy because I just accumulate more, but I think it increases distribution as well. I think it allows a lot of people that have been sitting on the fence to enter. So it just becomes more and more distributed, more fair distribution every time. And Joel did a fantastic YouTube interview this week. I think it was Crypto Traders Pro. And Joel,
Coin Traders Pro, I think.
And he raised a fantastic point about when you compare Dash to the distribution of Litecoin and Bitcoin. Now, considering Bitcoin launched in 2009 and Litecoin at 2011, Dash is already, in terms of distribution, when you look at the wallets, greater. And we're only 4 years old, right? So when you think about that, the longer you've been out, the more fairly distributed you should be. But we're 4 years in the gate, and we're doing pretty good from the get-go. And so normally, I know there's a lot of FUD typically put out there by trolls and stuff. But when you actually look at the data on BitInfo charts and stuff, like that's actually doing pretty good. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity. And with evolution just around the corner, I was backing up the truck earlier today on the exchanges. So I'm a happy boy. So has anyone else been buying Dash?
Good for you.
No,
yeah.
I have no fiat. Wait. I have a few euros here, a few coins. And
I don't want that dinosaur money. I want Dash digital cash. I don't want that dinosaur
$5 $1 bills. So I'm kind of I'm in a rough spot for fiat.
Yeah. What's your opinion about the current price? Actually,
well, so they actually asked me this like a couple weeks ago. CNN flew a news crew out to New Hampshire to watch me spending Dash everywhere, and then one of the questions they were asking me is like, "Well, it's so volatile. Do you think anyone's ever going to use it? If it's so volatile, it's been crashing?" And I was like, I think it was about 400 per Dash at the time, and I said, well, the first Dash I ever earned in exchange for services was priced at $7 per Dash. So, and I started working more for Dash, when it was $10 and $15, $20, whatever, or 65. And I'm like, I'm doing like, what am I complaining about? So it's only at 300 or 400. Like, how greedy can I get? Right.
Yeah. Our price is pretty stable as far as pegged to Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin that's really bringing us down here lately. But I mean, our 0.045 that's pretty stable. We've been in the same kind of channel there. It's just Bitcoin's been dragging us down lately.
Right, let's take full advantage of Robert while he's here. So, Robert, we learned last week that there's a new CFO, Glenn, right? And he seems very, very nice chap. Had a nice email exchange with him earlier this week. Everything's going well. So with regard to internal changes within the Dash core team, is there any other new team members or people on the list waiting to join? What's the current status?
Oh, right now we are in the process of huge, let's say, administrative or organizational changes inside the team. It's not only Glenn who joined recently. We have recruited multiple new developers, QA specialists, but also non-technical functions. We are reorganizing our team and company in a way to deal with our partners, to deal with the network, to deal with also external vendors in a professional way. So we have created the entire structure with CFO, CTO, COO. This will be announced pretty soon. We have, as you know, we have hired strategy head. Also, Bradley is here with us as a business development manager since a couple of weeks. So we are reorganizing the way we work, and we are trying to split the team in a couple of silos that are dedicated to their own areas. You have spoken to Fernando a couple of days ago. He is responsible for marketing, which is pretty new. Before, Fernando was more on the legal side and so on. So comparing to the situation we have had like a year ago, 2 years ago, when it was just a couple of passionate people very dedicated to the project, and right now we are almost 70 individuals in this team, in this company. This is a big difference. We have realized pretty quickly that we cannot work in a way that we've been working before, based on the best effort, based on the personal engagement, without a clear processes, directions, and so on. Because imagine a situation of like a developer, new developer coming to the team and being put on his work, which is pretty right. Technical leaders are experts in this area, and they are giving them tasks. But there is also entire backend team, let's say, administrative effort that needs to be done in order to make these people productive, to make them satisfied and organized. We didn't have basic processes, and there were people coming to me asking, how can I request vacation? How can I order, for example, hardware for testing? What is the process to when I go to conference, and how can I be reimbursed, and so on and so forth. So the questions have been raised, and we have collected feedback and realized that changes are needed, and these changes are being actually applied right now. And this will be announced by Ryan really soon. First, that there will be internal communication, then external. You have already saw that we have set up a trust and then operating company to, let's say, operate in a legal way, in a way that it's being acceptable to everyone, with the transparent finances, transparent processes on how do we drive the company. We have gave legal way to control the company by trust and the network. So those changes are pretty significant. It took a lot of time and effort to set it up. It took a lot of discussions. I know it's months, right? But you need to realize that we have created a setup that has never existed before.
Yeah.
Even the lawyers who were working with us were really surprised and have had a really hard time to figure out how to do it.
Well, that's what I've been trying to explain to people. And for example, just yesterday, I was teaching a I was talking to someone who runs a grassroots political organization, education department, or part of it, just talking about like what is blockchain, what is cryptocurrency, like helping them design their course to teach their activists all over the country. And part of that was like after describing Dash, it was really mind blowing, not just the instant payments and all that kind of stuff, but just the what is this entity we've created, the decentralized autonomous organization. The world doesn't know what this is really. I mean, we've talked about it in theory a whole lot, but how are lawyers dealing with this? How are units contracting with it? How do I explain what I do for a living?
Yeah.
I work for a company? No. I just work like, are you a miner? No. Well, then what are you? It's a very interesting, this has never been done before. And this is, even if this, I don't expect it to fail, but even if this fails someday, it's very worth being part of it now, just because no one's been here before. This is new territory.
It seemed like for several months there wasn't a whole lot going on. The community was getting restless. However, as we can see now, there was a lot going on behind the scenes, and now it seems like the floodgates have been open. There's new people every day. I saw this, the lady Liz, I believe is her name, who did a great, answered all kinds of questions that have been in the community for a while. So very impressive with what's taking place lately.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, Joel has raised an interesting topic, because it's still a kind of issue. It's much easier to ask to contributors of Dash Core Group right now, because if they are being asked, who is your employer, they can answer, right? We are providing them with salary statements. They can pay taxes, but a couple of months ago, this setup didn't exist. And how could you explain to the tax office, to your authorities, who are you working for, right? To them,
yeah, of course,
this kind of thing doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Us internally, for us, for contributors, some things are obvious. What is DAO, how the network is functioning, but from the legal perspective, it doesn't exist. That there is no like a regulation that it says this is how you should approach these people, and they should pay this kind of taxes, or they should be treated in this particular way. So actually, any authority has not only bank, not only like tax office, but any authority you can imagine have had a hard time to understand how do we work, what kind of activities do we do, how should they deal with us.
That's always a thing with when you're dealing with those kinds of structures. Usually it's whatever answer works. So like sometimes you say something that whatever works according to current definitions. But it is interesting on a social level, because the other day I was with the Dash documentary team, the Beyond Bitcoin film, and I was there with Joshua, and it was funny because the three of us, right, myself, Joshua, and then the team, we all work for Dash, but we definitely don't work for the same part of Dash at all. Like we're just completely separate. And it's weird saying, oh, we all work for Dash, we're paid by the same blockchain, but it's like this doesn't exist anywhere else really. And it's, I mean, I'm not counting like Pivx and Smart Cash and stuff like that for now. I'm just talking about larger leagues, as far as you have like a global organization that's still very loose in terms of organizational structure. And so you have something like a Dash Core, which might have a stronger structure, but still just one of the pieces under this big ecosystem. And then sometimes the other pieces like might disagree on things. And that's a very strange thing when people think about it, is like, well, I thought you can't hold each other accountable because you all work for Dash. Well, it's not quite that simple always.
Yeah, it's decentralized. That's what it is.
Yeah, a very simple way to saying it, but it's just saying that sometimes people take like months or years to wrap their head around what that means.
Yes, absolutely. And Actually, it's beautiful because we can create our own setup, but the other legal entities, the other, I don't know, groups, companies, or projects can follow, can reuse the framework we have created, but they can also work on their own, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, as you've mentioned how the project itself is scaling, but also the core team as well. How are you coping and managing with the project management role? For example, we've seen Bradley, who is the business head of business development for Dash Core, now has a business dev in the US, Omar. So are you going to start? Are you managing your workload okay now the team's scaled out? Or are you looking to recruit people strategically around the world to assist you? Or what's the current status on that?
There is already a project management team, and there are 4 project managers, including me, there. And it works similarly to service, let's say, for the entire team. If any other team, because the major customer of project management team is, of course, CTO group and development groups. But if there are requests for project managers for integrations or for any other activities, these people are being shared. So it's much more easier to me at the moment. That there was a time when I was heavily overwhelmed with everything. Right now, having Janusz, Balu, and Luba in a team, it's much more easier, not only for me, but also for development teams, right? Because each team has dedicated project manager or scrum master from our team, and they can count on their support, on some coordination, and they help them with all of the administrative overhead that is necessary to be done in order to make everything documented, coordinated, and so on.
Yeah, it's good that you're actually quite strategically located for the core team as well, because where you're in Central Europe, in time zone wise, you're right in the middle. So you're there for the Americans, you're there for Southeast Asia as well. So you're perfectly situated where you are.
Yes, it makes things much more easier, because in the morning I work most of the time with people who are located in Asia. Then I'm having a kind of break for a couple of hours when I can do some exercises. I can go outside, deal with my private matters. Then I'm going back and continue my work till the late night hours with people from America.
Yeah.
And from Europe. So it helps a lot. I have to say it helps a lot.
Will there ever be a Dash Core European headquarters? We saw this in the roadmap a while ago, but we know that's being currently updated in the background. Has this been spoken about anymore? Or is just the whole evolution drive right now, that's the priority, so that's taken a backseat?
Totally. Evolution is top priority, and we everyone is focused on evolution. This is the ultimate solution we are going to deliver, and we are putting a lot of efforts in order to also change our delivery setup on how do we delivering. Maybe I will talk about it a little bit later, but coming back to your question, at the moment we are testing our setup for American company, that there is no a topic of other legal entities. We've been discussing this at the very beginning when the concept of legal entities has been created, but for the moment that there is no plan to open any other legal entity. Probably when we are growing, when there is a need, for example, to open support center, when the evolution is already on the market, I'm expecting that the support effort that will be needed to support our customers, support our merchants, will be as big as development, and this team probably will grow. Maybe we will open a kind of service center somewhere in Europe because of the strategic location. Maybe it will be Asia. I don't know. We didn't discuss this topic in details yet.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a good segue into Discover Dash a little bit, huh?
Yes, we need to prepare ourselves, prepare from legal perspective, prepare from headcount perspective, process tools perspective, because everyone in a community is waiting for evolution, right? But please imagine what is happening when evolution is on the market and is being successful. Everything will explode, and we
Yes.
will have like 10 times more, 100 times more requests, questions, people coming to us asking about integrations, submitting issues, dealing with different kind of problems with our products, and they need to be somehow served. There has to be a way that they can contact people who can help them.
Well, how do you feel about Dash right now? Just for people watching, that's maybe the first time that they're learning of you and your role and who you are in the core team. When did you first get involved with Dash, and what were your motivations for wanting to be a part of Dash? And is Dash, it's completely different now to when I first got involved, in terms of features, functionality, and direction. So, like, can you just talk about from your origins of coming into Dash, and just how Dash is just a whole different beast now, and how you feel about that personally?
So Dash is maybe not so much different. The spirit of Dash was always the same, and I hope it will remain, despite the fact that we are creating all of these structures. But our goal was always the same. So my history, I joined the team, let's say, at the very beginning of 2015 or last weeks of 2014. Before I was in blockchain space. From 2013, I guess my fascination with Bitcoin started early in 2013. I was talking to some friend completely accidentally about finances. I was always interested in finance. I was working as a consultant for finance companies. I was also working directly for finance companies. Before Dash, my job was program and delivery manager for a large bank here in Switzerland. It's UBS Global Bank, and I was working in IT compliance department. And at the same time, I was working also for Dash. And the concept, going back to the history, the concept of Bitcoin was so fascinating, so groundbreaking for me, because when you work for financial industry, you quickly realize that there are disadvantages, that there are problems that they are dealing with, and just because it's stable, no one is going to resolve these problems. Even when in 2008, huge problems caused, a lot of issues in entire global economy, nothing has been fixed in this industry. Nothing has changed. And well, when you discover that there is a groundbreaking technology that can change this entire industry and the world you live, well, this is fascinating for the technical person as me. And I started to explore everything in Bitcoin space, of course. And then I started to like looking for a place where I can help all of these movements in the crypto space. I started to talk to smaller teams, different coins. There were many projects that time, but I wasn't satisfied with the fact that at the end of the day, it appeared that they are just launching a coin to get some money, and then everything is disappearing. And on the Bitcoin forum, I have met Slavik 21 from our forum, and he told me that okay, he's engaged in Dash. I started to chat with him, explain that I'm an experienced project manager. I come from finance industry and consulting, and it started to like be interesting. Then he introduced me to Daniel, then he introduced me to Evan. We have had like a internal chat, initial chat, and I joined the team early in 2015. And I have to say that at the very beginning it was weird. Because those were most of the time developers and couple of supporting functions, and everyone was doing literally everything, right? And out of nowhere, project manager is appearing and then trying to like organize all of these things and then put some structure into it. And well, there was a kind of strong resistance at the very beginning. After a couple of months, Fernando even admitted to me that he hated me.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, he didn't understand why am I there. But I started to simply help with small things, with website, with the things that no one else wanted to do, and to bring some like structured oriented approach, brought some tools that helped with coordination, document sharing, and so on and so forth. And as we started to grow, it became more and more obvious that function as like project manager has a lot of sense for the bigger team, right? For a couple of people, as we were there were like maybe 10 people. It's okay to not have a project manager and everyone can do almost everything. But when we grew to 20 people, well, it's much harder to coordinate 20 people, even if you are located in one office, right? But imagine how difficult it is when everyone is on the other part of the globe. And you know, peer-to-peer communication is becoming not really effective in this way. So we started to develop more structured approach, more like delivery-oriented approach, with project management involved, with other functions being involved within the time. And I think it works pretty well right now. And the way we are working right now, it's very much different from what it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But as I mentioned at the very beginning, the goal is the same. The like spirit of the team is the same. The community is the same. And this is the greatest thing. This is, you know, the vision created by Evan and the entire industry is what is keeping us here. This is probably the greatest community, the greatest project from my perspective I can participate. So I'm here.
Well, that's of course good to hear you're confident in that. Now we know that the community is very anxious about timelines and stuff. So I want to know is what is the timeline for the release of Ryan being able to sleep at least 8 hours per night?
Can you repeat the question? You have frozen to me.
Yeah, sorry. I said, what is the timeline that we can expect Ryan to finally start to be able to sleep at least 8 hours per night? Is that Q3, Q4?
Oh, this is fantastic question. I hope it will be soon, right? Because we are hiring all of these supporting management functions. Ryan's problem with sleep is with being sleeping less than just a couple of hours. It's a common problem among the entire core team, I would say. We've been, you know, hiring a lot of developers, testers. We've been hiring people who are technical writers, but we didn't hire enough managers, and we ended up with us like PMs, managers, managing multiple things at the same time. And well, it was heavily overwhelming. Right now, when we are having CFO, Ryan is having like only a half of his duties, which is too much anyway. And we are hiring more and more functions like business development, product manager, who is Liz, you've mentioned before. And thanks to this entire workload is being distributed among the entire team, leadership team, and it's becoming much easier, let's say. But when Ryan is sleeping, I don't know. I hope he's starting to sleep, 8 hours a day pretty soon. Right now we are doing, very, very good exercise of definition of our roadmaps, of definition of the entire delivery structure, and it should help a lot because this will make the way we are delivering evolution and the delivering Dash products in general much more predictable and much more organized. So there is no reason for Ryan and the other guys to be everywhere all the time.
Speaking of roadmaps, is there any update when the new roadmap is going to be released? It's got to be soon here, I'm sure.
It will be very soon. Literally today, 3 hours ago, we've been sitting with the team and we were defining parts of this roadmap. We've been discussing the details on what needs to be delivered as an MVP and what needs to be delivered on later stages. So yes, you can expect an update about the roadmap really soon. I'm not able to say if it's going to be in a week or 2 or 3 weeks, but we are quite advanced in defining high-level roadmap. There are a couple of technical details that needs to be clarified, but I have to say that the quality of discussion about roadmap is on completely different level, because right now we have strategic function being involved, product manager, Ryan as a finance expert, and multiple technical experts like Nathan, like other developers being involved in the process. And this way we are like combining an input from technical teams and from business or more business oriented people, and the comprehensive roadmap is being created in a way that should satisfy everyone, and it will be like a logical way to deliver what users are expecting.
Okay. Is there any update on the evolution release? Everything seems to be like it's on time. Q3, is there a month, or is it still just Q3? Is it?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that everything is on time, and I have to admit that we have experienced delays, because originally it was declared for 2017 or beginning 2018, and obviously it's not here yet. So we have decided to not declare the dates anymore. As soon as the roadmap is being created, I will create a setup when project managers and then portfolio manager will be reporting the progress of and general milestones, what has been delivered, what is in progress, and what is left. And this way, community and masternode owners will have a clear view of what is happening in the development process. I would like to say that it's similarly to the legal setup we have been working on, because evolution is something that doesn't exist in our current reality. So it's very difficult to predict what kind of challenges developers are facing in a week or two, right? When you are developing like a typical project in IT space, everything is there. Libraries are there, solutions are there that you can reuse, and everything is pretty much predictable. In what we are doing, we are facing many challenges and unknowns. We try to organize it. We try to create a very structured approach. Nate and Andy, these guys have done a fantastic job with building, a general concept of solution. Andy right now is working like hell, by coding the entire skeleton on what is behind the evolution. And this is like a fundamental thing for what the other teams are going to be working on in coming weeks. And it will be also reflected in the roadmap that is going to be released.
It seems like we're getting closer and closer. It seems like we're almost there. It just
we are getting closer and closer. You have seen the first demo, and maybe from typical user perspective, it's not very attractive. You just saw a couple of text boxes and very simple web page working there. But as you can imagine, that there is a huge portion of code and huge software engine behind, working on blockchain, serving all of this content and making the operations. Actually, I was even amazed with the fact that these guys created concept of data contract, right? Which is amazing. This also extends or is making evolution much bigger than we have expected. So as you can see, even during the development process, great ideas are popping up, and developers are able to improve things in the process of development. This is a great experience.
Can I just ask something? Now that we're aware of your background before with compliance and regulation, UBS, I don't know if you watched the podcast last week, but to make things interesting, you could say stir in the pot. You could say dropping a grenade in the room and walking out. Joel and Brian kind of went head to head on a very topical issue now that's being debated, particularly by masternode owners. And they're very conscious and aware of regulation just across the whole cryptocurrency space right now. So last week there was a debate going on where I was kind of in the middle about compromising on private send in terms of legislation, in terms of exchanges and stuff. Would we turn that off temporarily to get ahead? How do you feel about regulation right now? What do you foresee happening over the next year with the exchanges? Do you think it's going to be a really rocky ride? I mean, obviously you can't say what's going to happen with prices and stuff in the future, but is there any sort of indicators that you've seen? Like, what do you think is going to happen throughout this next year?
Well, it's very difficult to say, because this year, I was participating in many conferences and was talking to many people, and there is a different level of understanding on what cryptocurrencies are and whether they need to be regulated, how they need to be regulated. For example, in Switzerland, where I live, government and cantons are very friendly to cryptocurrencies. They are, in majority of cantons, cryptocurrency is an asset. You can declare it in your tax declaration. You can pay taxes from your gains, and there is no issue. In Zug canton, it's even considered a typical foreign currency. So it's probably the best approach and setup you can imagine for cryptocurrencies. But on the other hand, you have regulators who have no idea. I've been talking to many people. I've been talking to some, let's say, officers of Ministry of Finance with different countries. I've been talking to European, and it's completely different in there. Some of them know literally nothing about blockchain. Some of them are really advanced, and well, if you realize that so different people with so different level of knowledge are working on regulations, well, the very one of the most important things that appears to me is that we have to educate them, right? I even declared I come from Poland, I'm Polish. I even declared for Polish Bitcoin community that I'm ready to join any efforts that are helping to educate their governments, their regulators, to understand what cryptocurrencies are, how they can be used, what are the advantages, what are disadvantages, and just make them aware of the facts, so they are not getting their information from press or from TV shows that are not exactly accurate about what cryptocurrencies are, but they are getting knowledge from the first hand. And about did you also ask about the privacy?
Oh, why not? Why we're here? We've got to. Where do you sit on the fence on this? Would you compromise it? If Coinbase came out today and they said, look, we'll add Dash, no problems, but you got to turn off private send. What would you do?
personally, I would be opposed to that, right? Because there are two very important sides of privacy I can see in Dash. First is our libertarian roots, and I consider privacy as a basic human right, right? So with this perspective, well, I'm the big opponent of switching off private send from ideological things. But there is also a business perspective. Privacy is absolutely needed for business, right? So please have a look how big hypocrisy it is. Who are asking to eliminate privacy? Those are banks, financial institutions, or Coinbase, for example, if it would happen. Are they completely transparent? Are they releasing their books? Are they publishing all of the information about their financial operations?
Are they going to win though? Because Brian, fair play to Brian, he was pointing out article was very popular. Was it last week or a week ago? With Japan removing Dash, Zcash, Monero, other known privacy coins within cryptocurrency. So they're basically removing it. And if we want adoption and to be on exchanges to play these games, that basically the governments and the regulators, they're holding the keys. So how can we win this? How can we win them over?
By educating them, by talking to them and educating them, right? It's very easy to say that, you know, it's being used for criminal activities, etc., etc. But if you think about it more, it's cash, right?
Yeah.
But you know, their argument about criminal activities is very lame to me, because actually the most popular currency being used by criminals is US dollar and euro, right?
Oh yeah, the central banks. No, I'm joking. Well, that is the biggest Ponzi scheme.
There were multiple banks involved in like money laundering activities.
Yeah.
So
especially HSBC.
This is very wrong to say that cryptocurrencies are being used for illegal activities. It's simply not true. But also you have to realize that privacy is a kind of feature required by business, right? Yeah. Business and companies require privacy. I gave this example during the last conference in Berlin. It's very simple example, but please imagine a McDonald's restaurant and Burger King restaurant operating on the other side of the street. Would you, as a manager of McDonald's restaurant, would you like to reveal all of the information about your operations, salaries, about your revenue, and basically all of your numbers to your competitor? No, absolutely not. That would kill your business, right? So privacy is absolutely integral part for me if we are going to, you know, go to the business and then say that we can offer you a solution to like improve your finance operations or to serve you as a mean of payment or whatever, right? This is something that I can imagine will be expected by business sooner or later.
Yeah, what happens if America, Europe, Australia all follows in the footsteps of Japan? Do we have a contingency plan? Are we working on any kind of lobbying efforts to, you know, persuade them on our way so we don't have to turn off private send?
Yes, we've been talking about it yesterday during the board call, and we are engaging multiple Dash representatives, also lawyers, and supporting exchanges in Japan in order to reach out to JFSA and talk to them, explain that, you know, we are quite different from Monero or Zcash, for example.
Yeah.
And yes, we are trying to prevent these things to be happening.
Yeah, that was the whole idea behind working with CoinFirm, which I was excited about. Some people were like, "Oh, y'all are in bed with the devil," but it just made sense. I could see the future about how the regulation was going to play out. I was glad that we were partnering with them, and hopefully hopefully the politicians can understand that. Look, we're trying to be in compliance, and
Yes,
work with them.
you are completely right, Brian. This is the part of the entire picture, right? We are giving you a kind of protocol, but also there are supporting services that are legitimate, that are official, and will allow you to drive your business in a legal way expected by regulators. So I hope that we will be successful in explaining Japan regulators and other regulators that we are not going towards like criminal activities, but we have different goals.
Excellent.
Excellent. Joel, do you have any questions for Robert? Or have you been tipping people again? Is that what you've been up to?
No. I was doing that last time because my Dash wallet released a tipping function, allows people to tip on Twitter, Reddit, even Discord, all kinds of things. And it's a pretty incredible thing. So I was using that to just spread the Dash love around. But I mean, it's that's the thing with the privacy thing that it reminds me of the denomination debate where people were trying to inflate Dash's supply by 100 times or something to make it easier to buy pieces of. And what came down to is just how horrifically difficult that would be technically to implement. I mean, I think it's a horrific idea for the same reasons as we distrust central banks for inflating the supply thousands of times. But in terms of like the privacy thing, the argument has been presented, sometimes by present company, that if the need comes to just turn off private send, and it makes it seem like that's just on the table there. And is it though? Or is it, if there was a technical implementation that would allow private send to be turned off, would that cause some long-term problems with Dash from a centralization type perspective? What do you think about the technical perspective? What do you think about the technical perspective of that, or infrastructural perspective of that choice, Robert?
Of choice of like this,
just turning off private send temporarily to get on some exchanges. Not that whether that's a good idea or not from a structural standpoint or technical standpoint. Or just we're talking about technical. Like, is that even something that could be possible, or would it be, if possible, would it cause way more problems than it would solve technically?
Oh, I'm not the right person to answer this question. It should be definitely Nathan, Alexander, Codablock, or someone who has deep knowledge about the code. I don't have this knowledge, so I would not answer this question.
Okay, Joel, can I play devil's advocate? What if you had to decide between private send or Dash Evolution, and you had to choose one? Would you still compromise your privacy over the Dash Evolution solution for decentralized applications, the platform, everything else, just to keep that? Well, let's make this interesting.
Let's say temporarily.
Well, now obviously these are crazy hypotheticals because that have no bearing in reality. However, just for the fun of it, that's a really tough question because of the greater context. So, for example, if Dash could go ahead but needed to get rid of privacy in order to do all this, I would probably, to be perfectly honest, I would probably be in favor of that and then sell half my Dash for Zcash. Right, just something that's similar where I would, I'd be happy that I'd do whatever take Dash and then therefore the human race further. I'd be in favor of that, but I would definitely I'd split my support between two coins in that case.
Yeah, there's going to be other technologies like these atomic swaps and stuff like that. I mean, to make Dash private, you could send it to an exchange temporarily. If we had to cut it off, if America decides they're going to ban all exchanges for privacy coins, you could literally send it to exchange, send it back, send it to Shapeshift, send it back. That kind of does the same type thing. However, if the government or whatever really wanted to look in, then they could subpoena the exchange and see what you were doing. But I mean, you would really have to be like selling babies full of cocaine or something for them to even mess with you.
My favorite kind of baby.
Yeah, but as Joel said, it's very hypothetical question, and I think it's a perfect business case for our governance system. It's not up to us to decide. This question should be submitted to the system, and the network decides.
Hopefully we can avoid it, and hopefully they'll
yeah.
work with us, and we can do coin firm and everything else.
Yes.
I don't want to shut it off. However, if America decided to ban all exchanges in Europe and Australia, then it's really going to be a serious question, because then we couldn't. I mean, we could never become and save the world or whatever. It just wouldn't happen. We just would go away. It was,
Is that your greatest fear, Brian? Because you're very passionate on this. Like, is it because obviously the news in Japan's clearly spooked you, but is this what you foresee happening, or you just want that contingency plan in place?
I don't trust the government. I don't trust it. I know that they're going to try to do everything that they can, and I would like to be able to play ball with them for as long as we could until we got as literally too big to fail to where they could not stop us, and then we just flip on our privacy switch and be like, okay, now what?
So Robert, what do you think is Dash's biggest weakness right now? What's one thing that we can improve on? Put your backing up against the wall. Come on, Robert. Spill the beans.
Are you asking about Dash as a network, or Dash Core Group as a company I work for?
Whatever you feel comfortable.
Let's just say network. Let's just start saying Dash as a whole as a network. That's a lot easier to say than criticize the core team, and then Ryan says,
"Yeah, I don't want to fire Ryan."
No. It's not easy to fire me.
Yeah, I would say, let me just say that a couple of months ago, I could have gave you a whole lot of stuff, but so much has happened. A lot of the issues that we've had have just been solved. So yeah, Robert, I'm curious as well.
So starting from network perspective, I'm a project manager. So obviously I'm looking at issues from project manager perspective. And the biggest issue for me is a kind of lack of control over the projects being submitted to the network. For me, the process of submission and then release funds is being a little bit immature, because the funds are being released only based on voting, that there is no actual control on the project execution. We are trying to build like maybe artificial or additional services that are monitoring what is happening with the projects. Escrow services are helpful, but not all of the projects are using these additional services. And from my perspective, this governance and funding system should be maybe a little bit tweaked or changed in order to make the process more business oriented. So there, in my opinion, that there should be a kind of formal requirements for proposal creators to present a plan, to present milestones, measurable goals, and execution process, and then there should be a kind of network control over the execution. So if milestone is being achieved, then the funds are being released. And if the network should have a kind of view on how the plan is being executed, how the companies are acting versus what they have declared. We have had several issues in the past, both as core team and the network, when projects were not being delivered, despite the fact that proposal creators received money, and it's a weakness. For me as a project manager, it's probably the biggest weakness.
We've got a question for you in the live Q&A. Actually, it's a two-part question. I think I know the answer to this, but hey ho, you're the guest of honor, so I'll let you do the honors. So the question is from Leonardo, and the question is it a core policy not to get involved in other proposals? It would be very useful for us to read the opinions of some high-profile core members about some proposals, especially the high-value ones.
So there is no internal policy about our core team members being involved in our other proposals. Usually we tend to not involve ourselves and to not create like opinions about other proposals. If we are being asked for opinions, then we are going to forums or to discussion panels and us trying to explain what we do think about the project. But there is no strict policy that is allowing or disallowing or forbidding.
Okay, yeah, I think that kind of answers the second part of the question, which was, if it's not a policy, how could we get Robert's opinion, for example, on a high-value proposal in which he would have full competency to comment on? So I guess from that point of view, you're just saying that you're not restricted from commenting on proposals, but if you felt strongly, you're free to give your opinion, right?
Yes. Just drop me an email, contact me on the forum. If I find the question not being very manipulative or making me
yeah, it's difficult, isn't it,
giving an
Robert?
opinion that is directing the voting process in very specific direction. I'm really happy to share my feedback, my if it's in the area of my expertise, right? Because
yeah, I guess a big problem for you is, and I've kind of encountered this myself being within Dashforce, is that sometimes people can latch onto your comments and use your name in proposals or to try and push an agenda or comment more. And I've kind of been sucked into this sometimes, where that's why a lot of the times that I don't comment on proposals on Dash Central, because I'm not currently a masternode owner. So I trust the masternode network and to be democratic and make those right decisions. So I don't like to get too involved, but I see a lot of people name dropping and using people's names. So I can imagine if you had a few core team members making comments, people are going to take them, potentially spin them, but use them to push their agenda forward. So it's a tricky situation. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer in this. You just need to find that happy medium, that right balance, that right equilibrium. And so far, I'm not really aware of an instance where I think Core's really overstepped the mark in terms of swinging the votes on a proposal outside of Core. Well, not from memory anyway. Guys, feel free to chip in.
No.
But I mean, obviously there was instances where Core's come into questions. We remember that with the Bitcart episode. Obviously, Dashforce was involved at the article. Let's not go down memory lane. But in general, we try to toe the line. And actually, within Three Amigos, when we talk about other proposals, Joel and Brian's always quick to say, like, these are our own opinions that we're expressing right now. They're not representative of Dashforce. So, Joel, do you want to add to that?
In a lot of ways, in a lot of cases, you can't really, we wouldn't be able to extrapolate a Dashforce opinion out of that anyway, since a lot of times the three of us have wildly different ideas. Sometimes they're very strongly held too. Sometimes it's like, man, that proposal's bullshit, and I'm like, no, I love it. And then Mark's like, well, you gotta see the both sides. And then it's like, there's
we're all stubborn, but it works.
We have exactly the same. It's not like we think the same and we feel the same about all of the proposals or Hash as a project in general. And actually, this is this is great. This creates a strong environment when you can confront your opinions and point of view. This is very constructive, and out of all of these discussions, there are coming very, very good outcomes. And about communicating about proposals, yes, we can do this, but well, you should expect that we will stay neutral, because Dashcore Group is a kind of the same one of the proposal owners, but also is being treated as a kind of special entity. And well, it would be unfortunate if the voting process is being somehow influenced by Dashcore team members. So I'm happy to answer questions about the quality of the proposal from the project management perspective, right? But if I would be asked directly whether if I would vote for this proposal or not, if I find it good or not, probably I won't answer.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, no, one interesting thing about input on proposals. The problem is there's so many proposals in so many different areas of professional expertise. And a lot of times masternodes look at that, and the masternode could be a professional in that industry, or it could be just some person who bought a bunch of Dash on a bet way back in the day and just has no idea how to judge these proposals because they're not a professional in that field. So what do you think about the possibility of asking core for, or members of the core team, for their professional input, not about do you like the proposal, yes or no, but to verify certain things? For example, saying, hey, this person says that developing this kind of a site costs this much money. You guys are developers, or you have developers on the team. Do you think that sounds like a reasonable price point for that? Or, for example, to ask someone like Fernando, hey, Fernando, these people are saying they can get this many impressions on this many ads for this much money. And does that sound at all like something that you would recognize? And of course, whatever the answer is has nothing to do with is it a good proposal or not, but it's just like a professional opinion on the facts. Is that something that core team members would be willing to engage in, or obviously all individuals, right? Or is that something that generally the community should find other people to answer those questions?
I think that this would be a perfect business case to create a completely separated DAO or entity that is serving the network with advisory service and like evaluating proposals, creating some measures and framework I was mentioning around the proposal. So about core team members being asked and answering. Well, you have to realize that this is a global network, right? And for example, the cost of development in Poland is completely different than cost of development in United States or in China. And sometimes if you don't have enough knowledge, it's difficult to answer. If I think that the question, there is no bad or dumb questions, right? If the questions are being asked, we do our best to provide information and share our feedback and expertise whenever possible. So I would encourage people to ask questions, but well, not every question could be even answered.
Yeah, I would like to see like a group, kind of like a Dash Watch, that operates in the pre-proposal phase, and they can look at the pre-proposals, they can negotiate, they can get us the best deal, and then when they present the final proposal, we know that it's been, these experts in these different areas have slashed the prices and got the best deal possible.
Yeah, that's what I've done a little bit unofficially. Some people have asked me, hey, what do you think about this? And I've worked with them and just said, look, you're going to want to provide some extra value for Dash. You're going to want to make this clear. You're going to want to make that clear. Why don't you do this for the budget? And in fact, there's it's going to be revealed in a couple of days. Someone I know, I was working with them for a pre-proposal, and they initially were saying, this is a few months ago, or they were saying like, oh, we want this much money. And I talked them down to like almost 10% total per month of that thing. They just wanted a big lump of money and do all this work. And I was like, you're not going to get that passed. Like, no. Why don't you just do, and then we talked them down to a reasonable thing. And that does not necessarily constitute an endorsement on my part once it hits the actual network. It just means I've worked through this and you can ask me specific questions about it. Like, so are these guys for reals, and are they actual developers? What's their track record with this? What about that? Like a few things. And then that doesn't mean I endorse a proposal, and I just give them actual knowledge and facts on the thing. And then the masters make up their minds. But I think that will be proposal consulting services will become a new job description.
Yeah.
That people get paid for, I think. Maybe not even like paid for by the network, which I think everyone tries to get paid through the treasury, but like paid by prospective proposal owners, where they say, hey, I have this proposal. I want to get this proposal passed. Can you sit down with me for a few hours and consult on it? And then by the time it reaches, you have, not only is it a tighter proposal, but you can just say, this proposal was kind of worked through by this person, and this person can answer some questions about it, right?
Yeah,
So, for example,
that's a great idea, Joel. You have mentioned Dashwatch guys. I find their work fantastic. I've been talking to Harrison about what they are doing. He presented me briefly the outcomes of what they are doing. I find it fantastic. It's giving an input for masternode owners. It's a kind of framework that is based on measures, unified measures, and it's giving a kind of measurable view for project managers, for the network itself. I saw already a discussion from the lady. The lady's name is Brianna, who are trying to bring more analytical oriented services. And if we would be able to combine all of these kind of initiatives in some point of time, that would be a great tool for decision-making process for our masternode network. During the pre-proposal project, evaluation phase, and then during the execution. I really think that it would be fascinating and very profitable for the network to have this kind of jobs and then services being available for proposal owners.
Is there anything coming up in the near future that you're excited about? I know this year you've been to a few conferences yourself, man, in the booth, the Dash booth. Have you got any other events or conferences coming up, or is there anything in the next few weeks that you're excited about that you want to plug, or is it just the roadmap you're looking forward to?
The roadmap and then company setup and delivery setup is the very first thing I'm being focused on. But from conference perspective, in a couple of weeks I'm going to Moscow. There is a quite big event in Moscow, and we are going to promote Dash together with our Russian community members. I'm really looking forward to it, and further, probably Money 2020 in Europe. This is something in longer term perspective. But last year was really exhausting to me. I have been participating like 2 conferences a month sometimes, and it became exhausting, and it affected also my effectiveness in work. So this year we have created more structured approach, and then Fernando is maintaining the entire calendar of events and conferences. We are going to participate as a core team members, and those are only the most significant events. And I really like it. Like 2 conferences a quarter, it is something that is very acceptable to me, and it doesn't affect my work, my daily work for Dash.
Yeah, this is the part of the show where I say we should probably wrap it up.
Yep.
Yes. Well,
yes.
Thank you, Robert, for coming on. Been instrumental, and you're not being shy to give your opinion as well, which is exactly what we love. So, and you've got an early start tomorrow as well. So it's for those that are watching in the States or elsewhere. It's late where I am, but it's even later where Robert is. So thank you so much for coming on. This has been great. I hope you will come back again, perhaps in a month or two's time. We can talk about the roadmap.
That would be fantastic. Thank you for having me here, and great conversation, guys.
Excellent.
Right. So, Joel, do you want to do the dashchat.org road call?
The outro. Yeah. So first off, go to discoverdash.com. It's new. It's amazing. It's everything you've been looking for. It's basically like Yelp for Dash. That's why we haven't let Mark out of his cave for about 6 months or however long it's been. Go there. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have a live chat function as well, so people can ask questions like, how do I get my business listed? Or even, how does Dash work? Like, what's it better? Like, just random questions. It's going to be great.
Yep.
Dashchat.org is how you get into the Dash Nation Discord, which is just the best Dash community out there, I think. And if you just go around there and ask about where's the Three Amigos after party, someone might let you in. There's 10 slots at any one time. People come and go. That's just a limitation of the technology, right? We'd have everyone if we could, but 10 slots. And sometimes it goes on for like 6 hours straight, and just different people popping in and out and just chatting about a lot of the best ideas, and some even proposals have come out of that long discussion, like the meeting of the minds of the best in the Dash community. So it's a great time. Ask about if you want to go in. And thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Robert. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. Excellent.
Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the video. And if you've been listening to this on one of our many resources, this is from dashforcenews.com, the #1 source for Dash News online. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back again next Friday. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you all next week. See you later. And don't forget, stay dashy.
Stay dashy.